Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the Virtual Association Forum Town Hall. I'm Michelle Mason, President and CEO, and on behalf of Association Forum, we appreciate you joining us today. First and foremost, we wish you and yours well health and wellness during this extraordinary time in our history. As a community, we will get through this together and emerge stronger. We applaud the agility and the innovations that many of your organizations are demonstrating during this time. We definitely see a new day emerging. We recognize that many of our members are on the front lines. So we thank them for their service, and we really thank you too for supporting them. As a member of Association Forum, this is your meeting. We look forward to the board of directors having a conversation with you. We encourage you to ask questions throughout and also to utilize your chat function. We'll also have time at the end for you to ask questions. You're very important to us, and this is simply an opportunity for us to check in with you. So it's now my pleasure to turn the meeting over to our facilitator for today, and that's Jeff Brown, Chair of Association Forum. Jeff?
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to echo Michelle's sentiments and thank you on behalf of the Board of Directors for joining today's Town Hall. These are certainly unique times for all association professionals and those that support our community. The last 60 days have shown Forum's agility, our dedication to providing meaningful member experiences, and to stewarding our enduring community. I continue to be impressed by how so many organizations have adapted to the current environment and are pivoting in an effort to meet the needs of their stakeholders. We believe that there's real value in capturing those stories and sharing your experiences with your peers. Together, that's how we'll grow. I want you to know that Forum is here for you with the resources you need to travel these uncharted waters. We want to be your partner by sharing valuable information with you and continuing to be your professional home. Before we get started, I'd like to call on some other members of the board just to share some of their thoughts on the day. I'll start with Kim Mosley, our Secretary Treasurer. Kim?
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks everyone for joining us today. I will echo Jeff's sentiments. These are very challenging times. We are in a unprecedented. I know all of the verbs and all of the adjectives that we've all used. But one of the things that we do know is that we will get through this together. It is through the collaborative spirit of our community and how we work together and share ideas, share insights, even share some of the landmines that we may have stepped on. It is through that collaborative spirit that we will all get through this together.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Jeff. This is Matt Sanderson, President and CEO of Smith Buckland, and I would echo what Kim and Jeff said and Michelle. I mean, to me, the biggest takeaway here is that the conversations that the current external environment are it's just accelerating conversations that have been going on for a long time. And I think this is the definition of what it means to deliver value as an association and what it means to be connected and together are shifting. And there's an opportunity by sticking together, by sharing information and also just helping one another through this. So I think just the way in which associations of all shapes and sizes add value and connect one another is what's going to get us through this.
Thank you, Matt. Sarah, let's go ahead and move into the updates. Start with the painted picture. Just want everybody to know we need to step back a little bit and think about where we see this community going. The painted picture is Associations Forum's aspirational view of the future. Last October, the board convened for its annual planning retreat in Louisville and reaffirmed the organization's commitment to our future focus. The painted picture captures many of the elements that you've come to know and expect from Forum. It affirms the organization's objective of creating unique experiences that capture and engage our community, which has never been more important than it is today. Our desire to grow by being an advocate for the association management profession, our commitment to cultivating meaningful partnerships that are mutually beneficial and to serving as a beacon for the diverse workforce of the future as exhibited by our focus on creating a welcoming environment grounded in authenticity and embracing our individual uniqueness. Under the Welcoming Environment banner, we recently completed a research project with McKinley Advisors, the results of which will be shared later this month. Keep an eye out for that information. Our need to position the organization now and in the future by going all in on digital transformation is also captured in the painted picture. So much of what we are doing now and will do in the future flows out of the painted picture, which leads me to our strategic initiatives. Digital first. We have a project underway to outline and execute a multi-year digital roadmap. As many of you know, that's never been more important than it is now. Being able to have the critical infrastructure and assets to deliver member experiences and continue your business operations is so important in this environment. Partnering for the future. The future dictates that we enter into strategic relationships with traditional and non-traditional entities to amplify our voice and bring new resources to this community. The board recently engaged in a very significant discussion about what are some entities that we need to partner with to make sure we're positioned well for the future. Telling our story. Increasing our advocacy efforts at all levels of government has never been more important. We've engaged a lobbying firm to help guide our efforts in this area, and we continue to partner with ASAE at the national level. I want to acknowledge the great work being done by the Public Policy Advisory Council and encourage you to get involved in Forum's advocacy efforts. I know Brian Bernardoni is on the call today, so I just want to recognize him for helping to steward our efforts in that area, and Greg Heydrich from Society of Actuaries. Being a center for innovation. Through our foundation, Forum has an excellent opportunity to be an incubator of new and innovative ideas for the future of the profession. We want to develop a process to collect member effective practices and showcase ideas within the association community. We're launching a formal fund development process to raise money to financially support innovation within the Chicagoland Association community, something that's been so exciting for many of us that have been involved for quite some time. Scenario planning. Like many of your organizations, the Forum Board engaged in a scenario planning exercise to prepare for and respond to the changing environment. This was an extremely worthwhile endeavor for us because it helped us to gain clarity about the challenges and opportunities that we could be confronted with as we navigate the future. It also confirmed much of where we're headed directionally before the pandemic. You know, one of the most exciting things that I think is happening with Forum right now is our Ignite the Restart campaign. You've probably seen communications from the Forum office to help association members prepare for the new day. There's so much valuable content and information that's flowing out of that campaign that I encourage you to take an opportunity to get involved. On the member engagement front, now is the time to come together more than ever as an association community and stay engaged. Participate in some of our conversation circles, participate in a shared interest group, attend a virtual meeting, or volunteer. Now is an opportunity for you to make your imprint on the Forum community as we chart this new course. One of the things that we've heard time and time again from all of you that we need to help out with is our own reopening plan. We're following the developments with the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. We've assembled a team of experts to advise on our strategy. And it will be a multi-phased approach where we garner the health and safety of members and staff as being most important. You know, we want to be a model for you as you're reopening your own offices, and we want to share our story with a blueprint of what it's going to look like for the future. At this point in time, I'd like to open it up for a moderated discussion with the board of directors. Sarah and Michelle, do you want to open that up for us?
What kinds of resources are there available for sponsorship for virtual meetings? This was a question that was submitted by a member. And to respond, Association Forum has an education partnership with PPN. PPN is the Partnership Professional Network to deliver content on sponsorships. The webinars are in the Association Forum Learning Management System. In addition to that, we are introducing new and enhanced programming around sponsorships in the coming months, July and August. We also have a partnership with Littman Connects. Littman provides education for exhibit sales and roundtables, exhibit sales and other virtual sponsorship opportunities. That session will be on June 25th from 10 to 2, and it will be virtual, as well as another partnership opportunity on July 30th from 10 to 2. So again, thank you to the member who submitted the question regarding sponsorship for virtual events. The next question submitted was, how can members stay engaged and support?
I'll take that one, Michelle. Association Forum provides conversation circles on a variety of topics. You can contact Sarah Murphy, our Director of Education, to schedule a discussion. The conversation circles allow you to share ideas with your peers who have similar interests. We've recently modeled after form and implemented this in our own association, and it's been a worthwhile endeavor for all of our members.
The only thing I might add is Forum is sending a lot of great information via email. I know we're all inundated with emails probably at this point, but to take a minute or two to try to tease out some of the great nuggets of information. There's a lot of great resources in those emails. So what I've been trying to do is set them aside, and at the end of the day, try to tease through some of them. There's a lot of great information there. It's a great resource.
I guess I would say to, continue to lean on the other members within the community and ask them questions. I know for myself, the more I can, talk to colleagues, talk amongst ourselves, be able to glean from others kind of what they're going through. To me, it helps, because it helps you to know, first of all, you're not in alone, which I think is extremely comforting. And then it helps you to know kind of where you need to navigate. And we all know it's very fluid. So having conversations within the community or with the other colleagues within webinars or wherever that channel may be that works for you, it's extremely helpful. I think that's, to me, been really the brightest light is really the colleagues that I have within different forums.
Michelle, if it's okay, I'd like to ask a question of you, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Can you talk to us? Can you talk to us a little bit about how the association forum staff is doing? We've talked about all the great work, the work that's happening, from the board's perspective, but how's the staff doing?
That's a great question. And I will tell you that we have one of the absolute best staff teams supporting Association Forum. We're really excited about their leadership during this time, this extraordinary, unprecedented, unusual time. I'm really impressed with how the team stepped up and converted the office into virtual immediately, just within a day's notice, and have not missed a beat. So we are, I believe, during this time, we're closer than ever before, because technology is forcing us to communicate. We are in a more efficient manner. We are a work family, and so this is, a small team, and so this is an unusual situation for us, like most organizations. But what we're doing is we are having weekly happy hour meetings to check in with each other, not to check in on work issues, but just to get to know each other as a team. Jeff, you had an opportunity to join us for one of those events. You want to share your experience?
Yeah, my big takeaway from that experience was my team is not virtual happy houring right compared to what the forum staff is doing.
Yeah, and we have contests, we play games. Just recently, we had a murder mystery, a game that we played, but it's not just an opportunity to continue to build a camaraderie. It's an opportunity to get to know each other in a more personal way, and so we really appreciate that opportunity. We have monthly town halls with the staff. We believe in very transparent communications, and so we check in with them, and for their mental health and wellness is very important to us. And we encourage the team members to communicate with each other throughout the process. We are utilizing Zoom. We are also utilizing Microsoft Teams. So those are two very effective tools for us. As many organizations are experiencing, it is a difficult time, and we are exercising creativity and innovation. What's most important is that the team is very committed to servicing the members. The team is very passionate about the mission of Association Forum, and we're very grateful to be with you on this journey during this time.
Thank you, Michelle. I know on behalf of the board and the rest of the volunteer cadre, thank you for what you and the staff team have been doing to keep this community together during this difficult time. We really appreciate it. There's been one other question that I'd like to pose to Kim and Matt, given that you both come from different size organizations. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to keep your own teams engaged during the stay-at-home order? Start with you, Kim.
So we're doing some of the similar things that Michelle just spoke about. We once a week get together on Zoom and have a virtual happy hour. We've all decided that we're all going to be alcoholics before this is all over, because alcohol has become something that all of us are imbibing a little bit more than we usually would have. However, it is nice to, at the end of the week, we do it on Friday afternoons, at the end of the week, sort of relax a little bit and kind of summarize the week, kind of go through how things unfolded. As someone mentioned earlier, it's a very fluid situation. What makes sense for Monday doesn't always still make sense by Friday, kind of thing. So it's a nice debrief. It's a nice opportunity to just kind of relax. We've also played games that not as fun maybe as what you guys are doing, Michelle. I probably need to talk to you. But we do play games and just try to relax a little bit. We have not been using Teams. We've been using another tool called Slack. And Slack is one of the tools that allows us to very quickly send messages back and forth. One of the things I really like about that tool is it allows you to connect and disconnect. So you can in Slack say that I'm on or I'm off. And when someone is off, if you put a message in to Slack for them, it will let you know that they're not on right now. They'll get the message as soon as they re-engage with the system. And I find that to be a very positive tool, because I think because we're all working at home, it is more difficult maybe to be very careful about work-life balance. And it's maybe a little bit too easy to stay engaged too much. So I know that I can send them a message and I can see very clearly that I'm not going to be disturbing their private time, their downtime. They'll get that message when they get back on Slack, but it allows me to download it from my brain so that I can go and relax. So that has turned out to be a really positive tool for us to use to stay connected.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a large environment with a lot of distributed employees, and but in addition to what's happening at the team level, which is a lot of what I think we've talked about. I mean, a couple of things we're doing at the company level. One is we have a virtual town hall about every 3 weeks, which is open to everyone, and it's recorded, and it's been about an hour, so that's 500, 600 people. But one of the things we've done also that I think has been helped to break down this communication barrier that exists is we have an opt-in program that we call Smith-Buckland Hello, and each week you can opt in, and basically there's a randomly generated match that happens between two employees who opt in with a series of questions and an Outlook meeting. And so if you opt in each week, then you're going to have 30 minutes to get to know someone who also opted in. And I think that's been really neat. It's been an opportunity to create that happenstance sort of community and one-on-one connection that happens so easily when you're in an office environment, but it's hard to do it in this way. So that hello once a week has been really neat, and we've had high participation, and I think we've learned a lot about one another in individual ways by sort of forcing that activity to those that opt in. So that's been pretty neat.
I think I was muted, and that was a really good question that I just asked. Denise, this one's for you. What are some of the major roadblocks you think people would be facing or anticipate to face with their plans to reopen? I know IREM just put out a really comprehensive guidebook to reopening office space and other real estate assets. So what are some of your thoughts on that area?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And I've read a lot of re-entry plans. Let me tell you, there's probably 10, 20 out there, and they're all great. And I would say there's just so much to think about with the reopening. From the perspective of the property manager, which are our members, but the air quality in the building, the cleaning, sanitation, the looking at the social distancing and what that looks like, how to navigate when you're in the office. There's just so many pieces to it, but I think the most critical is, in my mind, is the employees and how they feel when they enter the office and when they're going to re-enter, what their concerns are, what they think is top of mind for them. Because for us, when we're looking at it, we're thinking about commuting back into the office. What does that look like? And how do people feel getting on a train or getting on a bus, or do they even want to? So I think first you have to think about your employees and how are they going to feel comfortable and their overall well-being. That's first and foremost. And then I think also, do you really need to come back in the office? Are you functioning at a efficient level that you really don't need to come back in at this point in time, and you wait to see in the next couple months what transpires? So I think it's to look at it from the employee lens, to me, is the first thing that you really have to look at. But there are so many roadblocks in my mind at this point in time that for us, we're not even looking at bringing anyone back into the office in the near term.
Yeah. Michelle, do you want to talk a little bit about our Reopen advisory group that you're putting together and how that group is going to help Forum navigate some of the challenges?
We recognize that it's a long-term process to open the office. And so what we are very committed to doing is making a very thoughtful, strategic decision about that process. The health and well-being of our team members, as well as our members, first and foremost, is very important. And to do that, we really want to be an effective practice for our members. So we have convened an Office Reopen Advisory Council. It's a multidisciplinary group of leaders, experts who will guide us on our reopening process. We have leaders from construction, architecture, sanitation, legal counsel, HR, to help us develop a very thoughtful, phased approach to reopening the office. Reopening the office is the first, planning for reopening is the first step, but we recognize that Association Forum is very committed to taking risks on behalf of its members. We're very transparent in the decisions that we make and why we've made those decisions. So therefore, we are using this as an opportunity to engage these leaders in helping us to develop a blueprint, if you will, for our members to consider as they're planning for reopening as well. So the advisory committee will meet next week. It will provide advice, counsel on the decisions that we need to make as we reopen, and also as we look 12 to 18 months out.
Next week, we're going to have a conversation circle focused on this topic with Greg Fine from the CCIM Institute, Denise Froming, who's with us today from IREM, and Greg Witt from CBRE. And we're going to be diving into this whole topic around navigating the reentry process. So that'll be next Friday at 11 a.m. if you want to join us.
Absolutely. In addition to that, we issued or deployed a pulse survey this week to take the temperature of our members to understand their reopening strategies and their plans, and we will share those results as soon as they are received.
Michelle. Let's do one more question for you. With ASAE choosing to take their meeting virtual 90 days out, how do you overcome the message that sends to potential attendees to attend a live meeting occurring in September? I know this is a hot potato and something that you're dealing with Forum signature programs.
Absolutely. Our first step, again, is to follow the state guidelines as well as the city and county guidelines. The health and safety of our staff, our team members, and our members most important. And so in recognizing that, we realize that the guidelines is a very fluid process. So we've made the decision to convert our signature events to virtual. So Forum Forward will be a virtual event in August. Smart Tech will be a virtual event in September, as well as Honors Gala will be convened in December, and that will be virtual. Plans are in development, and we look forward to engaging our members in the process. Currently, Holiday Showcase is being planned to be a hybrid event. It's likely it could be virtual, but again, it depends on the guidelines that are presented to us. So we're really excited about the opportunity to test, take risks through these virtual events. We recommend that our members follow the state guidelines, is most important, and also exercise the appropriate precautions when they are convening their events. And again, as we test, as we learn, as we experiment, we will share our learnings with members. we would share what we've learned, and in some cases what worked, in some cases what didn't work in our situation. So again, we want to be a learning lab for you, but we also encourage you to share your stories with us so that we can share them with the broader community, because I believe at this time we are a learning community. Peer-to-peer learning is more important now than ever before.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. And, you know, I'll just share that I know we all thrive on being face-to-face with one another in person. That's what makes this community special. But, you know, in times when that's not possible, I think we can get the same rich experiences that we've had in the past in a virtual format. So I would encourage you to take advantage of Smart Tech, Form Forward, all of those virtual opportunities when they pop up. You know, the important thing is about engaging with your peers, being an active part of this community. You know, even though we're apart now, we'll be together again soon, and we need to keep what makes this organization special going. I'll take this next question. How is the association forum advocating on behalf of the association community? So Forum has been at the forefront of advocating for the inclusion of 501c6 and C4 organizations in some of the stimulus packages. We still have a lot of work to go there. We recently hosted a town hall with Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. I want to thank Paul Pomerantz for stewarding that program and hosting it. Next week, we have a virtual town hall with Congressman Danny Davis. And so, you know, we're trying to be at the forefront of this to make sure that the elected leadership in Washington and at the State House down in Springfield really understands what it is that we do as associations, how we're contributing to the fight around the pandemic, and how we make an enduring contribution to American society. And so I think you'll start to see some of the benefits, the relationships that we've started to forge, the stories that we've started to tell are really going to pay off in the future. I know that the House is voting on a bill today. Hopefully it passes through the Senate, and that, well, our entire association community will benefit from some of the much needed stimulus money. Michelle, Matt, Kim, anything to add on the advocacy front?
Well, we encourage our members to participate in the town hall programs because it's a great opportunity for your voice to be heard. It takes all of us to advocate for inclusion, to your point, Jeff. And we're very much committed to not just Chicagoland, but the state of Illinois.
Yeah, and I would add, I was on the town hall that Jeff mentioned. You know, this is one of the things I picked up on. You know, that we're at a moment in time where the stimulus packages and the support for various industries, there are a lot of strongly armed voices. And I think it's important that everyone here that's a Forum member realize that Forum is doing that same thing. It's a big part of the strategic direction. You know, you can't get influence without investment and without resources and without prioritization. And I was really encouraged, although a little bit discouraged, because I think right now this idea that lobbying as a field is misunderstood a little bit by the general population. And so one thing I picked up on was just that when you have lobbying associated with the industry of associations, which of course is just one fraction of what associations are involved with, there's maybe a negative bias that I think is just going to be really, really important for all of us to overcome, because if we're not there telling that story, not just in Congress, but if we're not there telling that story about the value of associations, we could be painted with a brush that says it's just a bunch of political nonsense, and there's a very little patience for that right now and very little funding. So I guess it's a very important issue for people to understand, and Forum, I've just been impressed with the prioritization of this effort, and it's complex. So I think there's work that we can all can do to dispel the myths of advocacy as a value creating activity in society.
Thanks, Matt. Very true. Very true. Here's one question that came in, and I'll toss this out to the group because I think it's really relevant, and this one's from Steve Smith. Any tips about transparency related to sharing financial challenges and realities with staff and members? I think this is something that's probably top of mind for all of us. And Kim, I'll start with you.
So one of the things that we've done is we built here, let me back up. We had to cancel our show, and canceling our show had a huge financial impact. So one of the things that we did was we built a brand new forecast, and we forecasted over 2 years. Usually we would forecast over a year. And actually, that forecast kind of takes us to 2.5 years. It's very visible. It's very visible for my board, and it's very visible for my staff. And it has sort of become the spreadsheet that we all sort of base our prioritizing off of, because we know now that we're dealing with a very different financial world, and we're paying more attention to the kinds of expenses that are going to be vital. So it has become the yardstick that we sort of build our plans from and prioritize from.
Thanks, Kim. Denise, any thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jeff. I would say just be kind of as transparent as you can be and be ahead of the game, because what you don't want to do is have people have all these questions in their mind, whether it's staff or it's members, and then they start to make up, honestly, answers on their own. And so it's very far typically from the truth. And so the more you can kind of paint that picture, what we were talking about, paint that picture, paint the story for them, you can kind of help them get there. And that's what we did. We started scenario planning 2 months ago, right when we knew this was hitting, and we did the scenario planning. We got out in front of it, went to the officers, the executive committee. We've shared with our committees and our groups and the staff, just so they know we're looking at it, we're on top of it, and where we think there'll be erosion and how we're going to address that. So for me, it's transparency and being out of the gate, in front of it as soon as you can.
Thanks, Denise. Matt, any thoughts from your perspective running an AMC?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of audiences, and I thank you for the question, Steve. There are a lot of audiences. We've done a lot of work, both with our employee base as well as just providing some templates and conversation guides for executive directors that are having conversations with boards, some of who aren't as financially sophisticated as we might want them to be. And this is a little bit practical or tactical, excuse me, hopefully both. But we've sort of dusted off some very basic sort of say it with charts kind of stuff where the waterfall chart as an example, or the reverse waterfall where you see variances and then they get just labeled and named, and bringing people's level of comprehension over basic math, I think has really been an invaluable tool to just increasing the lowest common denominator of people's comprehension about what's going on, and then they can make decisions. So I guess that's what I would add to what Kim said, which is really helpful too. And Denise.
And Paul, you just joined us, not to put you on the spot. I know that this is something that you've been pretty big on with your organization. Any thoughts on the transparency and sharing financial challenges and realities with your membership and your staff?
Yeah, you got to do it. By the way, there is something called Zoom purgatory. I've it's been enough Zoom, but anyway, I'm now out of Zoom purgatory. I've lived a good life, so no, absolutely. The financial challenges. What's interesting is our members are going through it, and the staff and the staff may or may not feel. Feel close to it, but I felt our responsibility is to be fully accountable and transparent, both to the staff and to the members. We recently did a survey of our members, and the results are shocking. In the healthcare field, like many of us, volumes are way off. I've never thought I'd see a time in my life where physicians are getting furloughed, salaries are being cut, facing some really headlong challenges, and so I feel an obligation to be very transparent with them about where we are, sort of the safety net we have for our organization, how we're managing expenses. But with the staff, we're also being very transparent, reporting to them on the financials, the risks we face, the kind of contingencies we're making. And I think the feedback I'm getting is that staff feels the more information we share, the more comfortable they feel about where we're heading. We're all reading the papers every day. We're watching what's on news. And I think the best thing we could do for all our stakeholders is just share as much information as possible.
Thanks, Paul. And in that, guys, and Kim, feel free to jump in. We just want to share that, Forum is going to face some challenges, but we are on sound fiscal footing. We're well capitalized from a reserve standpoint. We have cash in the bank, but we're definitely staring down some potentially difficult times. You know, when you think about some of our core audiences from a support standpoint, the DMOs, the hoteliers, this is a very challenging time for them, probably the most challenging time that they may ever face. And so that's going to have a direct effect on Forum. And so, you know, we just want to make sure that we communicate and over communicate with you all about what some of those implications may be. Michelle talked a little bit about switching some of our signature programs to virtual versus in person. As you all know in your own organizations, there's some implications from that. Holiday Showcase, if it were to make a dramatic shift, you know, that's going to have an effect on the organization. So know that Kim and the Finance Committee and the full board and Michelle and her team are on top of this. They've got the best interests of the organization in mind. They want to make sure that we're taking care of our partners. Those are organizations and entities that have been with us for many years, and we want to be there for them during this challenging opportunity in their history, because we're all going to come through this together, and you know, we need to manage the finances appropriately. Michelle, Kim, anything to add on the financial front?
I would only add, Jeff, that you've got a very dedicated staff at Association Forum. They have built Plan B, Plan C, Plan Z. You know, they're thinking it through, and they're being very proactive about it. So we really feel like the organization is in good hands, that they are working very diligently in light of the challenges.
Yeah. It is about transparency, accountability, and communications. And so we are very committed to making sure we're good stewards of the resources that our members provide us. And, you know, and again, as I continue to say, we want to be that learning lab, because there's no one right answer. See, Jeff wants to steal this saying from me, but we're writing the playbook while we play the game.
Wow.
I'm saying an open forum.
Yeah.
But we're very committed.
Actually, last night I kind of turned it around a little bit. I was like writing the script as we're performing the play.
Oh, okay, then I'll take that one. So it truly means that we're all in this together, and we're all learning from each other. And that's the approach that we're taking at Association Forum. But we're very committed to the success of Forum, the sustainability of Forum. We have over 104 years of history, so we've experienced a lot, and we're still standing, and we look forward to more than 100 more. They'll look very different, but we're excited to be in the position that we are in today. Just performing and playing the game and writing new scripts and producing new playbooks.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
There's a question that came in from Kathy Bell. She's a longtime Forum volunteer. She's working with one of our committees this year. How can we integrate the pandemic-related issues to our work beyond how we deliver to what other types of content might be needed? And I'll open this up to the group, but you know, Paul, Denise, Kim, any thoughts on that? I know we've all volunteered at different levels. It's taking it beyond, you know, the delivery standpoint. So, you know, what can we do that's going to be most meaningful for Forum volunteers and members?
I'll just start. I think definitely something with change management or absorbing change, how to be flexible and how to lead through the change, because it's like, I know we keep saying unprecedented, but it's extraordinary times. And how do you lead through that? And how do you manage all the change that's coming at you? Because there's so much. And I've been reading a lot of articles on all of that and trying to help the directors and leaders within the organization understand how they can help lead and provide comfort, even though we don't know what's coming next. We still will have to flex and pivot so that we can address that. So for me, it's maybe some of that, the leadership and the change management piece.
This might be an opportunity, Jeff, to plug a program that I've been working on with Joel Bezo and Michelle and her team. And it's a program that I'll be concerned with exactly what Denise was saying. 4-part program, really intended to build a community around change. And, you know, the interesting thing about this time that we're in is nobody knows the answers. You know, we are just guessing. As you said, you know, we're writing the play while you're on the stage whatever, but that was a good line. So I think the bigger thing for us is to know what are the right questions to ask and what are the right conversations to have to kind of help us through this process, and also build a community around this. So what we're looking to is would be a four-part program. We're just putting the final touches on it that would look at sort of the macroeconomic scene, what's happening, what are the possible scenarios, given that this might go, 2 or 2 years or thereabouts. Second part will look at how different societies are looking at this environment, making their plans. Third piece will look at the financial side and actually pull together a panel of CFOs. And the fourth part are going to look at sort of critical competencies. But the real goal of this is to create a community around it. And I think that's really where, to Kathy Bell's question, where the forum can lend value. I think there's a number of programs out there, but we're not going to pretend to tell people how to do it because we don't know. We're going to need to really find ways to help each other. So, Michelle, anything to add to that? But that was kind of the idea of what we're looking at.
No, I think you captured it well, Paul. We definitely don't have all the answers, but we know that we have seasoned executives in our community that have experienced challenges in the past, such as 9/11 and the recession and such. And we want to borrow from that experience and create as we discussed, a learning community around this. So I think it's going to be a great series for us, and we're looking for it not to just be a webinar series, a 4-week program. We're looking to carry the conversation into Forum Forward, Holiday Showcase, and other programmatic opportunities. And those who would like to go on this journey with us and be part of the discussion, we're more than happy to have you engaged.
Thanks, everyone. Sarah, do we have any other questions that have come through?
Yeah, we had one earlier. A question from Sherry Brenneman, who is with a smaller group, the Illinois Association of Fire Protection Districts. She said that they're a small group with a small staff, but have education program objectives to meet and lost revenue they are trying to replace. They canceled their large meeting, and now they're looking for ways to engage the less computer savvy members in their groups with new platforms, but without breaking the bank.
I think they're...
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
Good.
One of the things we did, because we've got toy store owners and some of them are not that tech savvy, but we put together a task force of volunteers that are more tech savvy, and they've been helping us with some of the hand holding, if you will, on how to use some of our platforms. We have a learning management system. It's not difficult to use, but sometimes people just need a little bit more instruction. They've also been helping our folks with some of our Zoom offerings to show them how to get logged in and that sort of thing. So leveraging our volunteers has been very helpful for us to help some of the less tech savvy folks.
Yeah, I think for us, we've been contemplating this idea of going low tech. We know that people are tired of seeing their faces in little squares on the screen, and you may not be able to monetize a good old-fashioned conference call the way you do a Zoom webinar or something of that nature. But we just want to try to meet our members where they are and provide different vehicles for them to engage with one another, to talk about their issues. We found that if you do a conversation circle that's virtual, you probably have about 60% of the people that are going to show up not on video versus everybody being on video. So why not just do an old-fashioned conference call that's topically focused, maybe doing them off hours so that people don't have to necessarily do it in the middle of the day. I think some of us are looking to fill time after 5 o'clock, not necessarily doing the virtual happy hours or eating desserts, telling my life now. But definitely, think about different ways to engage your members. Not everything is going to be about monetization. We're going to have some revenue gaps. We made an intentional decision early on to make some investments and brought in some heavy hitting topical experts in financial advice to deliver content to our members to show them that, hey, we're there with you. We may not be able to do some of the same experiences that we've always done, but we're going to make the investments we need to continue the relationship in a meaningful fashion. And we've got one new one I saw pop up, Sarah. What do we got? Oh, no, that's just a welcome back. So I think unless there are any other questions, Sarah, maybe we'll wrap things up.
Jeff, I do have one more question.
Okay.
At one point, there was discussion of legislation in DC to support event organizers, like trade shows, festivals, arts, etc. Is there any movement on that, not just the PPP for the 501c6 organizations?
That's a great question. I have not heard of anything as of late. Paul, I'm not sure if you have. The focus has primarily been on 501c organizations such as 6 and 5s. But as soon as we are able to learn more information about that, we'll be happy to report out. As you mentioned, Jeff, earlier, Brian Bergadoni is our lobbyist, and he's participating on this town hall. And so I'm sure he's making a note of it.
All right, well, let's do some quick closing thoughts. And, Paul, I'll start with you because you're bottom right on my screen.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much. And I think it's a great opportunity to get together. I'm impressed by the number of people on this call. It really shows the powerful community that the forum is and provides. So I look forward to doing more of these. I think the best thing we have at this time is, not only our family, not only our friends, but really each other in this profession to help us navigate these tough times. So the forum is especially powerful in that regard.
So true. Thanks, Paul. Denise?
I just appreciate being here with all of you. This was fun, actually. And I would say in my career, I think what has always resonated with me is being able to get together with individuals from different industries and different perspectives. And with Association Forum, you can do that. And that's always helped me to think of things differently. So I really appreciate the community. So thank you. And thanks for everyone for being here on the call.
Matt?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I mean, I would just say that everyone that's on this call has a lot of people asking them questions, a lot of eyes on them. If that's a board, if that's a group of staff members, if that's a membership, and it can be pretty lonely regardless of your particular position or the industry you're in. And so, I'm appreciative of these opportunities to get together, and I expect more from Forum this year because it's rare that you can go into an environment where people understand what you're going through and what you're experiencing, and you can ask the questions in a safe environment, and you can get yourself with people who who know what you're going through. And so I just think there's a tremendous amount of value to staying together here and helping each other get refueled for what you have to do in your day-to-day job. So those are my final thoughts.
Very good. Thanks, Matt. Kim?
I'm going to totally steal your statement about we're changing the play while we're in the play. Writing the play. I totally feel that way. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. And my parting thoughts are, Paul, you were talking about change management. It really is about change management. It's about being able to pivot. It's about being able to rethink everything. It's about being able to look at business from a whole new perspective for ourselves and for our members, which is a very daunting idea. But once you accept that and really apply that, you're there. You're looking at things very differently. You're looking at things from a very, very new perspective, and it becomes an opportunity. It becomes a new way, a new business, a new way of thinking of things. So I encourage everyone on the call to keep doing that. Keep thinking differently. Keep looking at new business and keep pivoting because it's very fluid. It's changing. We're writing the play while we're in the play.
That's true.
Thanks, Kim. I appreciate that positive note of things. When the Forum Board did its scenario planning a month ago, wow, I can't believe it's been a month at this point. That was one of the things that struck me was just how we were able to approach this with so much uncertainty, but with just a positive bent to it. And, it just reaffirmed my notion that this community is so important for all of us. Being able to have a sounding board, a group of professionals that you can go to confirm your way of thinking or to highlight new ideas, it's so important. And before I turn this over to Michelle for her closing thoughts, I just want to share two pieces of good news along those lines. So the Association Forum magazine was recently redesigned. Hopefully everybody noticed that. It looks great. But the magazine was just recognized with a Platinum Award in the category of print media, design, and publication interiors. So congratulations to the team at Forum for that recognition. And then recently, Association Forum partnered with the Anthony Rizzo Foundation to provide meals to healthcare workers. We raised over $9,000 on an initial goal of, I believe it was $3,000. So thank you to everyone that contributed. You know, it's just an opportunity for this community to give back to some of our frontline workers that are doing so much on behalf of the city and the greater Chicago area. So thank you. We'll hopefully cultivate more opportunities for us to give back in that fashion. And so thank you for being with us today. Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you. The word that comes to mind for me is grateful. Very grateful to have this community. At this point in time, I cannot imagine going through something like this with any other group. We are joined together on this, and it's very important that we stay together as we articulate it. Very grateful to have an amazing board of directors. Appreciate your time today, having a conversation with our members during this pandemic to let them know that we're okay as an organization, sharing the stories of what you're doing in your organization, just being available. That's very important, and that really makes us a connected community that we pride ourselves on. I'm thankful for an incredible staff team that through it all is very dedicated to servicing the needs of our members and being available to innovate and take risks through this whole period of change management. It is very unique, and we are writing playbooks and all of it and everything, but we're also very excited about learning from this. That blank sheet of paper will eventually become a piece of art. And we're excited about what we'll learn and how we will become better as a community. And most importantly, we can't go through this without our members. Our members make us Association Forum. We are Forum. And we're very committed to igniting the restart with you. There will be dark days, but we're going to look for brighter days. And we will share all of our experiences with you. We are a learning lab, as I say so often. So really appreciate you and appreciate all you do on behalf of the industry. I believe our last slide will be our upcoming events, because we need the commercial here. We want you to be engaged with us. And if you're interested in being involved in any of these activities or providing, sharing what you've learned organizationally as you're converting your events, please contact us at Association Forum. So thank you, everyone. And Jeff, thank you so much for your leadership this year.
Thank you, Michelle.